Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to the Women's Empower Network. I am so excited this afternoon to have this guest with you, Cara. I can't wait to hear her story and journey. And it comes to find out she is from this little tiny town that I'm from, Pagosa Springs, Colorado. So that's a first. I love that. So,
Yeah.
Cara, if you could tell us, you have a unique skill set. Can you tell us, how it came about, how you discovered it? How old were you when it happened and you realized you were different?
Yes. Well, first off, thank you so much. I'm so excited and to know you and to know where you're located. And so, yeah, when I was in Pagosa, apparently as a kid, um, in Colorado, we bounced around this time, but before I was like 5, I had an invisible brother. And I think I called him invisible friend. I don't know if I actually ever said brother. No, I did. I did. I would say I'm talking to my invisible brother. And I would save seats for him at the dinner table. I do vividly remember like I would talk to myself in the center of my head. And it's so amazing, like now knowing, the center of our head, our intuition, and that we actually can like sit on a throne in the center of our head. So as a kid, I remember visualizing myself in a chair and I would like talk to myself and I would speak out loud, talking to her. And then I would be talking about my brother and what my brother made me do. And he made me stick a Cracker Jack up my nose and then it got stuck. And so then I had to go tell my mom and she's like, why did you do this? And I remember sitting on the washer and dryer and I was like, my brother, like I had a speech impediment, like my brother made me do this. She's like, okay, like I didn't have a brother, like I had a sister who was older. So they just kind of like rolled with it. And then I went to kindergarten and then it all stopped. Like I don't remember talking about my brother, seeing my brother. I felt I was always like a nervous kid, just with like my stomach would feel nervous. My palms were always sweaty. So I didn't know how sensitive I was. I didn't know how intuitive I was and like, telepathic and that type of thing consciously. And so I just kind of like shut it off. I luckily did not see spirits. I didn't see past loved ones or anything like that. And I kind of stopped seeing my brother. And that this is what's really typical when we go into just kind of, public schooling and we're more taught to focus on the intellectual and, kind of shut down your intuitive, kind of creative self. So if anyone experiences that, know that unfortunately that's typical. And especially with kids, that they come out so raw and so connected. And then as much as we can to keep them that open, and connected. So then growing up in Pagosa, there was just so much religion around me. And so I always felt different. I was like, my religion is kindness. Like that's what my mom taught me. Your religion is kindness. You accept everyone. You want to be loving to all the animals and to everything. And so I always felt like out of place because I was like, I'm open to spirituality. I don't really know what that means. I'm scared of the word God. I'm scared of the word Jesus because so many of my friends and people who I had crushes on, they're like, we love you, Cara, but we can't be with you because you're not in the church. And my church was nature. And my church was like seriously talking to Santa Claus. And, I really believed in magic. I was obsessed. I still am obsessed with Santa and just that meaning of the spirit of Santa, the spirit of the higher realm, the spirit of these angels, and just magic, 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 magic. So with that, I always felt different, and that really sucked, and that was really uncomfortable. And so then I was just like, enough is enough, family, to my parents. Like, I got to get out of this town. Like, I need to be around different ages. I feel out of place. I don't smoke pot like my friends do. And even in junior high, like I had, crushes on these guys and they'd be like, do you want to smoke pot? Like, do you want to smoke cigarettes? Do you want to drink alcohol? Even my mom would be like, do you want to have some alcohol? Like, we're German, like you can have alcohol. And I knew I am meant to be pure. I don't want anything on my body. I don't want anything toxic inside my body. I just came into the world knowing I am meant to be pure. And I remember thinking like in junior high, like I want to tell my kids one day that I never smoked, that I never drank. Well, I can't, no, that didn't happen. But like, but whenever I would kind of like drink or whatever, I would just feel awful, like have a major allergy to it, like fall asleep would take me down. Even if I had wine coolers, I would just like fall asleep. And my family's like, "Ha, you're so funny. Like, why are you so sensitive?" So those type of things always kept coming to me. And I kept being like, I just want to be pure. And I want to get out of school and I just want to be in the real world. And I want to do what makes me passionate. So I got out of sports. I thought I hated competition. And then I got into weight training when I was in ninth grade, and I basically kind of became my own personal trainer. And then I started to read books. And I used to be a student that was a fantastic student, but then I really sucked on exams. I had test anxiety. So, like, whoop, there it all goes. Like, and I would like fail these tests. And my doctors would, not doctors, my teachers would be like, I know you're a really good student. I think you need to take this test separately. And then that would work out. So then when I started to read books about spirituality and fitness and mind and body spirit connection, I remembered it. I remembered it. I could follow along. And so I was like, this is what I meant to do. I meant to be a personal trainer. And people would tell me, like, as a teenager, and they'd be like, Cara, you need to be like a counselor. Like, you have all this wisdom and your soul is so much older than your age. And I have an older sister, but like she would always come to me for advice. My mom would come to me for advice. And they're just like, you're like this wise old soul, And so then I was like, okay, yeah, I don't think I want to be a counselor, but if I'm a personal trainer or like a hairdresser, then I could be like, help these people. So then long story short, I became a personal trainer. I passed the exam with flying colors. That was massive because I enjoyed it and I was so passionate about it. And so I became a personal trainer at 19, and I was just so obsessed with really helping my clients. Like, they would tell me what's going on with their mind, with their health, with their spirit. And I was like, we gotta help you connect to your mind, body, and spirit. So I thought that was going to be my forever. I was like, this is it, man. Like, I'm excelling at this. Like, I love being intimate with people and just really feeling this heart connection with them. And then I manifested this book to come into my life, and it's called The Journey by Brandon Bays. So she's this holistic person who then had a tumor the size of a basketball in her stomach.
Wow.
The doctors were like, you have like 3 months to live and good luck. And so she went to her massage therapist, and the massage therapist said, have you gone inside the tumor to ask why it's there and what memory is stored in it? Nope, haven't done that yet. So they did it together, and they created this process, this deep meditation. She went in and she discovered and uncovered a memory when she was like 5 of being on the beach with her best friend, and her best friend chose her sister over her. So she felt very betrayed. And so then when she re-met that and let all these emotions come out, like unprocessed emotions come out, talked to the soul of her best friend and her sister. So then she got to the heart of forgiveness. Long story short, she healed herself. She went through this massive process of forgiveness and hearing the soul of all these other people and flushed that with like God truth. Like, now I'm like great and fine saying God and Jesus, but she really got to the center of God and to source and to love. And so then she had a process on the back of her book of this meditation. And my body being so connected to my body and like loving personal training and all this stuff, my body was like, you have to do this for your clients. I was like, okay, this is a great next step, like,
Yeah.
and just having these women coming up to me of like, I'm going through a divorce, I might have cancer, like, how do I solve this? Nothing's working. So I said, okay, you can come over and I'm going to take you through this process. So I took them through it. They were just like dumping out these heavy emotions and like felt pain in their body. And then they left feeling a lot better. But I felt like crap the next day and I was in bed. So I was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. So it just totally tanked me. And I did not know the power of tools, energy tools. I didn't know like I needed to protect myself and all of that. And so then I like to say I manifested the author coming to Fort Collins. Like she lives in Hawaii. She even goes to Africa to teach this to like kids. And she comes to Fort Collins right where I'm living. Then I go and I'm like, this is amazing. And, I can't wait to see who I'm going to meet here. So I meet a practitioner and she's like, so you do this for people, but you've never had it done yourself. Yeah. Uh-huh. She's like, I want to do it for you for free. She said, I have hours that I need to get and I want to do a session with you. Okay. So I do 2 sessions, completely flipped my life around.
Wow.
So I'm in the session and she's like, okay, we can do it 2 ways, but one way is what's a fear that you have? I've always had a fear of getting lost. I didn't want to leave my mom, go to summer camps. Nope, I'm scared to go to airport by myself. How do I drive around a city that has more than one stoplight? Like so afraid of getting lost. So we went in, and long story short, I relived my traumatic birth. And guess who I met? My brother. I was a twin. So I came out as a C-section and I almost died because I was a C-section. I wasn't squeezed. And so my lungs, I was blue when I came out. One of my lungs collapsed. The doctor like pulled it out, just automatically. Took me away from my mom pretty much. Didn't go home with her. So I had this whole lost feeling, not being close to my mom and not being by my brother anymore.
Did your mother ever tell you that you had a twin?
No, because here's what happened on her side. So then I'm going through this whole journey and I'm like feeling his energy and getting to know him and understanding why he chose to not come through in this human form during this lifetime. So I heard all that. So he was then telling me, I want you to be my mom. I want you to be my mom. Like we have this kind of contract in a sense. So then I end up going to Psychic Horizons, and the woman, the facilitator, is like, Cara, you're very clairvoyant. You see a lot and you take in so many people's energy. And most of all that you're dealing with is not your energy.
Right.
You need to go to school. And the angel cards were telling me this for a while, and I was terrified because I suck at school. So I was like, I don't want to go back to school. But then I was like, oh, I get to go to a clairvoyance school? Okay. So then I learned these healing tools of how to like clear my space. And they saw my twin brother. They were like, you like have someone attached to you. Like, are you a twin? Like you have big twin energy around you. And I was like, oh my God, you're so validating this. And then that's when it started at night. His name was Colin. He would wake me up and I would channel and just like pour out all this information about what's going to happen with the guy I'm dating, like what's going to happen with my mom, bar, 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 bar. And then like things would happen. So then I was like, okay, I got to talk to my mom about this. And so I said, Mom, this is what happened. She's like, just a sec. So she goes and gets her calendar that she used when she was pregnant with me. And it says, there's 2 heartbeats. I have twins. And then after the 2nd trimester, the heartbeat stopped. So they
Wow.
lost the twin. And she asked the doctor when I got pulled out, she said, "Did you see what happened with the other twin and the other baby?" And he said, "It's nothing, it's nothing." He just totally brushed it off. But I now can see, like through going in and what he showed me of like, he obviously wasn't fully developed. Like he just kind of went through the first trimester. Then he was like, I'm done. But we really, of course, still form this soul to soul relationship and this communication, and we still do now. And so it's been absolutely incredible to have other people validate that in me, and to go to this school to clear out myself and then really tune into my soul and be like, oh my God, I thought personal training was my forever, and it's not. And I have all this kid energy around me. Like people would be like, you got like 10 kids or more around you. Like you're supposed to work with kids. And I knew I loved kids, but I never saw it as like, I need to leave personal training. So sooner than later, I think within that next year of graduating, I just took massive detours in my life where I used to be a kid that was so scared to go to summer camp. And I then just drop the personal training and say, okay, I'll just train people outside. And now apparently my soul is telling me I'm supposed to be a teacher. Like I would go into meditation and my spirit would show me teaching like kindergarten with kids. Well, how's that going to happen, Cara? Like you don't have a degree, you don't have a certificate. Good luck with that. But then I put that intention out there, and I met this fitness trainer, and she was like, yeah, I know of a charter school. You just need to have a bachelor's degree, and then you can be a substitute teacher. So like within a week, I'm then in kindergarten with all these kids, like no training, and I'm teaching kindergarten in like chaos. But and then I became a third grade teacher for 3 months. It just like was insane how it unfolded.
Mhm.
And then my soul was like, yeah, you're supposed to move to Europe. You're supposed to move to Europe. You need to go back to your soil where your past lives were, where your grandmother came from. You're supposed to go back to Europe. I was a kid again, didn't go to summer camp. And now I'm telling my family I'm moving to Belgium because this is what my soul wants to do. What? It was like very confusing. And so I just kept taking all these leaps. And, I ended up only being there for 3 months, and that's like how long the visa is. But I was wide open. I was like, okay, my soul might want to be here for like 6 months, 9 months. I'm telling my family, I don't know when I'm going to return. So here and there, I would do my clairvoyant readings with like my new Belgian family. And that was just incredible what would happen. But I always kind of like kept it over here, and I was like, okay, my main soul is to work with kids. I meant to develop a program. So then I came back to America and I just kept doing all these different things and it having to be with kids and like body and movement and yoga and dance and helping them connect with their heart and their soul and their feelings. So all these different things kept coming through my life. And I was like, yeah, and like I'm an intuitive, and so I would kind of work that in when I was ready to, but I really hid, and I'm a medium, and I can talk to people's past loved ones. Like that's definitely more scary. And it's so much more vulnerable. And it's so much more kind of feels like more judgment. And so I would like,
Judgment from who?
well, because I think there's just so much like doubt out there because it's like publicized. Like we can watch shows about psychic mediums. It's like Lisa Williams who kind of helped train me how to do group mediumship. And there's so much more kind of hype about it of like, there's not a lot of psychic mediums, or there's not a lot of good psychic mediums, or are you really talking to my past loved one? It's like that type of thing. And so just that major fear and that like also distrust in myself, that I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. Like they want me to talk to their daughter or their husband or whatever. But then it would just kind of work its way into my readings where I would do an intuitive reading for someone. I'm reading them. And then I'd be like, did you have a miscarriage? And so the baby would then come through and they're like, I haven't thought about this in 20 years. Like, why are you bringing this up? So all this healing and connection to their present time would come through. And so then more of that kept coming through with like past loved ones. And so then just recently, within like the last 2 years, like 2020, I went through a massive healing crisis physically and spiritually. And I lined up with the world of all that like unfolding. And spirit was like, Cara, you have to come out of the closet about this and you have to show and say, I'm a psychic medium and do it for groups. So then I got trained with Lisa Williams to do like the group mediumship. And then you got to mainly do most of your work as an intuitive and do all the like courses, do channel meditation and do photography. And I was like, okay. So after I got through my healing and the government wasn't paying us anymore, then I was just forced to like really dive in these last 2 years. And coming back to Fort Collins, I was like, okay, my main income now is going to come from my intuitive work and really putting myself out there. And it's been a joyful ride and intense also. So
It is always a mixed bag of goods, isn't it?
yeah.
Kind of makes me, I get the image of a roller coaster ride. You're going up and it's kind of bumpy and everything, and then you get to the top, and then it's like, ah,
Yes.
wow, that was fun. Can we do it again? You know?
Yeah, lots of screaming, lots of woohoos, like lots of what am I doing? Like, yeah.
It is. Wow, that's quite the journey. And I know there's a lot of women out there that I think a lot of more women than men are naturally intuitive. I remember when I was really young, I used to see the soul of the person, not like literally, I would see their physical body, but I only saw the goodness. I didn't see the personality that they were wearing. And so I got taken
Oh,
advantage a lot. And I was very confused when you're, early teens and stuff. It's like,
wow.
I don't understand this. And so, yeah, I got that you shut it down because it's like, this, I don't understand. This doesn't make sense. I mean, now I've learned to incorporate it, you know, but it's a journey for all of us to understand that. And
Yes.
that's beautiful. And I want to say to anybody who's struggling with this, reach out to Cora to talk about this. She's somebody who will understand and can help you
Yes.
with this.
Yeah, a lot of people have just been coming out of the woodwork to me of saying, Cara, I'm getting a little freaked out. I think I'm intuitive. Can you help me? Because I trust you. I'm like, whoa, okay. I didn't know I would be necessarily like teaching others, And so I just did this free webinar for people who are ready to like clear their space because it's hard for us to really access and trust our intuition if we're clogged and slimed with other people's energy. So I love teaching, these three main tools I use to clear my space and connect with myself. And then through my healing and through working with Lisa Williams, I've developed a course for sensitive people, and that's being launched in August. And it's
Nice.
about helping you get centered and get connected to yourself and listen to your inner wisdom and really feel stronger in your intuition. And we have to be grounded in order to really access our intuition and to really feel our truth and to really allow our bodies to heal itself and to manifest. So, yeah, I absolutely love helping sensitive souls. I think that's mainly like who I help, is just sensitive souls that are like, what do I do with this?
Well, or that, or, empath. I think of empaths all the time, and even myself, um, but it's so much easier when you live, out in the mountains and not in a
Yeah.
huge crowded city. To me, it was like mentally too noisy, not like physically noisy. It was just mentally too noisy. It was too
Oh, wow.
much.
Yes.
And but now, like recently, for an example, I had the experience the other morning, like my son's really sad. He's living in my studio that's 100 feet away. I haven't seen him since the night before, and I woke up, and you could say it's a mother thing, and I was like, well, I should check on him, and he didn't get up at his normal time, and so I was always just a little on edge.
Mm.
And so then I text him. I'm like, hey, how's it going? What you doing? Just trying to keep it light. And at the end of the day, what I found out is that his cousin, who he was supposed to stay with, um, at the family reunion this weekend, passed away suddenly.
What? Oh, that's massive.
It
Oh,
is, and it was like, but like you
wow.
said, it was kind of validating, but I was able to tell the difference between it being me and being him, and that was not always the case.
Wow.
You know,
Oh,
so
that's
I know there's
so,
a lot of people who have trouble distinguishing, like, is this me feeling this or is this my partner? And I'm
yes.
picking up on my partner stuff. So can
Yes.
you work with people and clarifying that and learning how to cope with that?
Yeah, this reminds me of a great question I love just to like post about in my social media or like tell my clients is a big go-to is to simply ask, is this mine? Like to there's the power of empowering questions. Because we can get so like combobulated with questions or confusion or not asking ourselves and asking the universe, but like having a little bucket of to grab these questions and to remember to ask. I'm feeling heavy. I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling angry all of a sudden. Is this mine? And I like to use like my tools that I teach people, the energy tools of like the rose and the grounding cord and the sun and all of that. If it helps you clear your space. So once you kind of help clear your space like the best that you can at that time, and then drop in and then ask that, your answer is going to come. And sometimes if it's like, I don't know, it's not like, just really to trust that. But if you feel of like, yes, this is mine. If it's like, I'm not sure, it's like, yeah, no, it's probably not yours. So then that's when I like to use like the rose tool of like, okay, it's not mine. What do I do with this? Like, what do I do with this like sticky note? Okay, I get to call out this big rose and breathe that energy, maybe of my son or whatever, into that rose. Well, now what do I do with this rose? Well, you actually get to pop it, like blow it up and I like to say it turns into sparkles and it goes back to the center of the earth and it goes back home to that person.
I've had
And so, because
a lot of experience with my mother's energy, and for me, it's gotten really simple. It's like I give it back. I'm not doing this.
yeah,
It's yours. I give it back. You know.
yes, yep,
Um, yeah.
totally. And it's so simple and it's so powerful because we forget it's not like on our front shelf of remembering this. And we'd like to make things so much more complicated. And so it's like, okay, yeah, I get to like clean myself up and then just kind of ask this. And like another tool I love to use maybe at the end of the day is just call in a big golden sun and put in a magnet that is of you and you call yourself back home because we drop ourselves all over the place and they were like, ooh, we just feel so drained and exhausted. So we need to call ourselves back. And if someone is like, so you keep thinking of them, they're like knocking on in your space. It's like, oh, their energy is probably left in your energy bodies. So then you get to call them out, like you said, like call them, give it away. Like, okay, I need to call this out. It just kind of feels foreign. It feels foreign to me. It feels unwanted to me. It's not my space. I want to be as clear as I can and as neutral as I can so that I can make sound decisions. And I know that it's coming like from my home in a sense. And I know that it's coming from just my best intention right now.
Well, and it sounds like with you specifically, that well, and myself, but it takes a lot of self-trust.
Yes. Capital T.
Yeah,
Massive.
it is.
Massive. Oh
God, I
yeah. It's
love this. I
go-to.
love that you came out.
Yeah. I've come out in a lot of ways. Yeah. Yes, it can be so scary. And like I'm a big believer in past lives. And so it's like, I think a lot of us can relate to that of when we tune into ourself of that past life of if I come out as this woohoo person, like I was killed as a witch and I was like beaten because I was so intuitive or I was so clear, or I was so in my beauty of pureness, I was beaten. So like now, and that's like when I tune into that and another healer friend helped me, why I was also so scared to like come out and really be a medium is because I've had probably many past lives where I was trying to help people. So I'd like tell them what I saw about their past loved ones or something. And I was just totally beaten, like taken into the field and just beaten. So it just really shut down my throat. And it's like, I work with a lot of thyroid challenges and I have to take, medicine for my thyroid. And so it's like, oh, I'm so much about helping women speak their truth and how, the vast, way too many women have thyroid issues and we don't even know about it. It's like 1 in 10 or 1 in 6.
Wow.
And the big reason of that is because of like either it's sexual abuse, we don't remember it, and just any kind of abuse and just any kind of just shutting this down. So I am just adamant about like, how can you move this energy? So I love tuning into my clients of what rituals do you need to move this energy out and honor yourself and reclaim your power and like unearth that power. Because I've had so much in my life where it's like, I just need to like suppress myself. I was in Pagosa and it was like, you're not one of us. You're not one of us. We love you, but you're not one of us. So I just have to keep working with my inner child and my subconscious and all this stuff of like, it's safe for me to shine, like it's safe for me to be different and it's safe for me to be big. And so it's just a constant process.
It
Sure.
is. This is so beautiful. I've so enjoyed this, and I want to ask before we go, are there any last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the group?
It's funny. I think just main thing is, and I just happened to find this before we came on, is this temporary tattoo that I got myself like months ago before I did a really big group mediumship. And it's actually I can. And so for you just to tell yourself that, like, and if you want to get temporary tattoos, I think they're great. Of like, actually, I can do this. Actually, I can speak my truth. Actually, I can go celebrate myself. Actually, I can take the time to just journal and dump out whatever I need to do. Actually, I can take myself on a date. Like I can take this deep breath. So to really look at what am I bumping up against that like keeps letting up, but I keep being like, no, 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 like distracting yourself. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And how to let that song and like mantra run through your body. Oh yeah, right. Actually, I can. you know. So yeah, actually I can.
That's so beautiful. I am so excited that you've been here today. And I want to let the group know that if you want to get a hold of Cara, we are going to put all her information above this interview so it doesn't get lost in the comments so you can connect with her. And Cara, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Jeannie. Love it, love it, love it. I'm so honored.